On tonight's show, we go back to Route 66 and continue our road trip series and end it at the Santa Monica Pier in Los Angeles as we continue on historic Route 66. Next on America's #1 road trip television show, it's Jann Scott Tonight. Is right down the road from Route 66 near Kingman. The Riverside Resort and Hotel Casino, they have an exhibition hall. It's called Laughlin's Classic Auto Exhibition Hall. Has many, many very expensive cars. You won't see these kinds of cars in car shows. Probably the best display of museum cars that we've ever seen. Worthwhile trip off Route 66 to come and see it. And you know, of course, I'm a car buff. Jann Scott, just off Route 66 in Laughlin, Nevada. E6 car, classic Corvette. Here's a classic 54 Vet. These are very rare. This one's worth $40,000. 57 T-Bird. Here's a 37 Cord Speedster, the original first American sports car. Here's a 66 Classic Triumph Bonneville. Another Bird, 55 this time. Here's a 56 Buick Special convertible. Here's America's first economy car that came out as a total disaster. But it's cute. Oh, yes. And the Solar Wind. Car of the future.
If you ever plan to go west, travel my way, take the highway back to west. Get your kicks on Route 66. It winds from Chicago to Raleigh. More than 2,000 miles.
We're in Williams, Arizona, on Route 66, behind Route 66 Inn, which was built in the 1920s. It's been here for a long time. It's a historical part. We're also going to go around town today and again visit lots of folks. We're going to the Twister. We're going to talk with Terri, the historian from the city. Terri Cleland, the Williams historian, former mountain woman. She came down here, cut her hair, and showered and cleaned up.
Oh my God, this town is so little. I don't know if I could stand living here, but really very quickly I learned that you can really become part of a community. Everybody knows everybody else. It's the only place where the UPS man can run me down at Circle K and give me his package.
Is there like a big scandal? Has there been a local scandal that you absolutely shouldn't tell, but probably people on television would just love it?
There's a dozen little tiny scandals all the time, and you never know what
tell us one. Just a little Route 66 scandal.
Oh gosh, I couldn't tell you one right now.
All right, I know you. Ever the politician.
Right. My claim to fame is that I was on ABC News Nightline. I had 15 seconds of fame with Route 66 on national television. And now, the only thing that could top it is Jann Scott.
It's a good thing you said that. And has sunglasses just like mine, sort of, except they're real Ray-Bans.
You have excellent taste.
Thank you very much. All right, so in 30 seconds or less. Now, go ahead. Tell us the story of Williams.
The story of Williams is typical of other northern Arizona towns. It was a railroad town founded in 1882 when what would become the Santa Fe Railroad came through town. And it grew. It was a lumber town. That was its big industry, lumber, ranching. And Williams has an interesting historic district. It's a real nice collection of historic buildings, and they've been well preserved through the years. And part of that has to do with Route 66, I believe, because there was the threat of the interstate coming for years and years and years, and people didn't invest in the 60s and 70s, didn't invest in what I would consider ruining their buildings by remodeling them. So they remain pretty much intact, and other communities had to undo a lot of stuff that was done in the 60s. We never had to do that. We just had to preserve what we had.
Did Route 66 die when 84 came in? Did it die and come back, or what happened? As I noticed, there are some boarded-up buildings in town and buildings for rent. Not as much as some cities, but there are some. How long have you lived here?
I've lived here for 12 years now.
12 years.
Longer than I've lived anywhere else in my life. It's a wonderful small town.
You came here on an archaeological dig.
More or less, yes. I came to work for the Forest Service. Yeah. That's who I work for as an archaeologist.
Are you a forest ranger?
Yes.
You have a uniform and everything that you wear?
Yes, I do. If you'd come on a work day, I'd be wearing it.
Oh, because you look like you're pretty much probably in the fashion business or something.
Thank you. Well, I got duded up for you, Jann.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Not too many people got duded up for us on Route 66.
All right, so you want to know about Williams and Route 66.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll start with the end, because Williams's claim to fame with Route 66 is that we were the last town to be bypassed by the interstate system. That didn't happen until 1984. And I was actually here when it happened. We had a ceremony on the freeway, and Bobby Troop sang a song.
Is it true the police chief got upset and went out and put his police cruiser across Interstate 40 to block the highway so people would have to...
Actually, that's a corruption of another story, which was they were going to tear up the rails for the Grand Canyon Railway, and the sheriff went out there and prevented that from happening. But But the story of why we were the last Route 66 town in America does involve, I think, some political intrigue. You'll hear different versions of the story, but there was a lot of political machinations involved in it. And there was also a lawsuit and other interesting...
What's a machination?
Okay. There was a lot of political intrigue, and you'll hear different stories from different people as to why Williams was able to delay the last link of the interstate system around our community.
Nope.
The Grand Canyon Railway is what put the town on the map in 1901 when it went to the Grand Canyon. Before that, it took 12 hours on a stage line to get to Grand Canyon, so this was quite an advance. And it was one of the famous Fred Harvey houses that you may have seen elsewhere.
With the Harvey girls.
Right, with the Harvey girls.
Who were not hookers.
That's right, they were not hookers, but
Yeah.
They married a lot of their customers, and Will Rogers, who hung out at the Sultana, used to say that Fred Harvey kept the wives in food. Fred Harvey kept the West in food and wives.
That's good. I like that. That's very, you know. All right.
Will Rogers like. Okay, the world famous Sultana. You know, why is it called world famous? What do you think? You ever heard?
Because they probably have more alcoholics than any bar.
Maybe. You know what? There's a lot of answers to that, but the best one I've come up with is it was just a marketing and advertising ploy by the owner. It was built in 1912, and it was really a hub of the community for a long time. It had a movie theater in it where the first talkie movie was shown in northern Arizona in 1930. It had, during the Depression, it had a speakeasy down in the basement. And upstairs at the bar, they served sarsaparilla. And there were a lot of famous people that stopped in at the Sultana. Will Rogers was probably the most famous one. And what I hear is the bartender would say, when you asked, why is the Sultana world famous, he would say, because you are here. So then going from the Sultana to another hub of the community, even earlier than that, Saloon Row, which is what's left of the original Saloon Row, only 3 buildings, dating from 1895 to 1903. Now this was where the action was, from the cowboys and the loggers and all the working folks. You know, Williams had a lot of single men back at the turn of the century, and they had a lot of testosterone that had to be taken care of. So
go to a two-shot right now.
It was originally Saloon Row right here along Route 66. We had a series of bordellos and saloons and other kinds of businesses that had to deal with the railroad and the traveler along Route 66 through the years. So the various buildings were utilized by the different merchants to of course draw that kind of traffic.
You still have working girls here now?
Well, you know, we've had working girls in here, but I try to keep that low key. Just kidding. Most of our guests here, of course, come for the ambiance, for that exciting re-energizing of themselves, their relationship, getting that working relationship back together again. As a matter of fact, most of the ladies that I have stay here end up hanging out the front windows just like the girls did in the old days.
Do you know those people?
I have no idea who that is, but they're having a good time, and people generally do. This is Route 66, and people, of course, have come flying down this highway trying to have a good time since the 20s. And I think it's interesting. I always tell my European guests that this is one of the few roads that was built for the purpose of having a good time, getting down the highway from point A to point B, seeing some interesting and fun things in between. So I do tell the Americans that travel along this public is that we've got a heck of a history here, and it's something that we've really been able to establish ourselves, and this is the kind of Americana that everybody else in the world is really interested in. This is the stuff they really want to see. They want to see where the Dust Bowl characters came flying down the highway, the people making it to California, coming back, and where their fathers dragged them in the back of the station wagon to see the Grand Canyon back in the old days on the way to California. So this is indeed the Main Street of America, and it's one of those places that is near and dear to most all of us. We like it. We like to have something that says USA on it.
Well, what makes this town, say, better than, I don't know, Los Angeles?
Than Los Angeles? I think it's pretty easy to say. In this town, you can stay in one place and walk. You can get out of your car, park it, walk to the neighboring saloons and restaurants, the information centers, the places that have got Indian art and cowboy art and those kinds of things, and spend your time on your feet having a good time outside. That came through here a little while ago that hit our centennial. This past November we had the first 100 years of operation finally wound up. He came in just cruising down the highway again. He had been on the rails as a kid, a 17-year-old, riding through here in November. Of course, we're at 7,000 feet. It's cold. Fell off the train, freezing cold, came over, and by that time the girls were gone 50 years ago, but they still had rooms upstairs.
That's too bad.
So he came in looking for a place that was warm, took a room upstairs in one of the old cribs where the girls used to do their business, spent the night, and then when he left, he took with him one of those coverings that they had on the old nightstands, took it, wrapped his hands up in it, got back on the freight, and went down the highway. He came back 50 years later and brought me a new tablecloth just like the one that he took 50 years before. And it really made my heart feel good that he had a good time doing it.
This is Old Smoky's Pancake House. Been here since 1947 on historic Route 66 in Williams, Arizona.
Well, they came here and founded this area years ago with beaver trapping, and they were just mountain men, and they established this area from what I understand, and this restaurant is kind of based around the mountain men, and they lived here for years, and they used to have to live here to be in the club, and they're just a bunch of wild mountain men trapper guys, and they've even gone back and been in the President's Day Parade, like for New Year's and stuff, and win awards, and that's who's on our menu, and that's who's on our real cool coffee cups that we sell. And we started putting the mountain men on the cups, and then we started putting the historic Route 66 cups on there. And last year was our 50th year on Route 66.
Wow.
And we've had, the mountain men eat here, and I've got...
Are they real mountain men, or are they pretend?
No, they're real mountain men. One of them is up on, in a couple of places that I have hung up here, and him and his wife are good friends of mine, and they eat in here.
What do they trap, and what do they do for a living?
Well, nowadays they do whatever. They're businessmen. One of the guys owned Napa store here, and auto store here, and but the idea is to be a mountain man, you used to have to live in Williams. Now they can live in Phoenix or Clarkdale or Yuma or wherever.
Tell us your story. How did you end up with this place?
Well, I started working here as a waitress, and when I was like 29 years old, and worked for these people, the Smiths, that were like my family, and I got an inheritance and bought it, and knew it was a well-established restaurant that's been here since 1946, and...
How long have you owned it?
I've had it, it'll be 14 years in March, and we make 14 kinds of homemade bread, and just, try to give all kind of good home cooking food and nothing out of a box. Last year, January 2nd, everybody was sitting here in the restaurant. It was full at the time, and a van came crashing through the restaurant, going about 55 miles an hour, and nobody got hurt. So we were closed for 5 months and got it back open, and and that was pretty devastating, other than the fact that nobody got killed. It would have been, a mar to the restaurant if somebody would have got killed. So, that's about the craziest thing.
Did they order anything to eat, really?
Yeah. Well, the one guy who got up from the table that was closest to the van said, grabbed his food and said, well, I'm going to finish eating. And he stood there and finished eating because it was so good that he didn't want to waste it,
Dave Poquette. I was born and raised here in Williams, raised on Route 66 right along here. We remember the old road as just a way to get from point A to point B, and there was nothing special about it when we were growing up. What I do remember, as a kid, all the cars that went by here were black. And I don't know why, but all the cars were black. One time, a car went through here with a bunch of mattresses on top, and my brother asked Dad, how come that guy's carrying his bed on that car? Dad said, well, he's from the Dust Bowl. He's an Okie. They're going to California to make a new living. It's a land of opportunity. Everybody's making big money, so that's where they're going. Well, I didn't understand that. So I want to know why we weren't going with them. Of course, he thought that was kind of funny. But the old road is just symbolic of people traveling from east to west, Greyhound buses, tourists. There were lots of little tourist courts and diners along Route 66, particularly here in Williams, some of which are still around town.
Tell us about your Chevy.
This old pickup is a 50 Chevrolet. My uncle bought it new 2 blocks from here. Cheshire Motors, still has the sign on the truck, Cheshire Motors, and we use it as a ranch truck. One of these days, I'm starting to feel guilty. One day soon we're going to have to take it in and get it painted up and and make a monument out of it. I spent 20 years in law enforcement here as a deputy sheriff for both the Williams and the Grand Canyon area. People come from all over the world to see the Grand Canyon, and certainly not to detract from its beauty, but they need to be aware that the canyon is not something to play with. On numerous occasions, we have found people in trouble in the bottom of the canyon that couldn't get out. They take a look at it and they think it's a 2-hour hike down to the bottom. Many times they get lost, they're out of food, they're out of water, they don't have the right shoes, they're not in the physical condition to try and hike it. They end up being carried out on the back of a mule or helicoptered out because of injuries or illness, or even sometimes death. So people that plan to hike the Grand Canyon need to communicate with the National Park Service up there, find out exactly what it takes to get down there and to get back out, and make sure they're in physical condition to do it. Years ago, I remember being part of an investigation where a fellow committed suicide at the Grand Canyon. He had a little Ford Pinto, and he backed that little Pinto up way back away from the rim of the canyon and drove it just as fast as it could go over the edge of the canyon and down to the bottom. And needless to say, he bought the farm that day. That did him in.
This part of Route 66 between Krypton and Seligman is considered to be a ghost road. There is no traffic here. And you notice we're parked in the middle of the road, and hours will go by and there are no cars. This is the old alignment, the 1928 alignment. It's all concrete, being reclaimed by the desert. You notice it wasn't very wide, again, here in the middle of Arizona. Look at this entranceway. Juan Delgadillo at the snow cap right here.
card.
You see this? I'd have one of these. Thank you very much. I'll give you one of mine. Actually, I'll give you one
How
of mine.
about one for your
Your
friend?
I'll give him one.
Now let me give you something else.
Oh, no, hey! He's squirting mustard at me. Hey!
That's part of it. Now if you need some napkins, we have napkins.
Oh, man, these are disgusting. Huh?
It's last year's napkins.
Last year's.
Last year's. And then if you want some straws, we have them also.
Oh, those are like used straws.
Slightly used.
Oh, slightly used.
Slightly used. Yes. And then if you want to look before you order, you can look before you order.
Hey, you're making my day.
I know that. I've been told many times about this.
Huh.
Yes, sir. So what do you have in mind, sir?
How long you been here on Route 66?
I've been here since 10 o'clock this morning.
10 o'clock, huh? Good.
This morning.
Cheers.
I'll be 45 this year now.
45.
This year. Yeah, 45 this year.
1950?
Late 1953.
Late 1953.
November late.
People still come in here and buy things?
Oh, you'd be surprised what they buy here. Anymore. As you can see, all this country up here.
Oh, yeah.
Over. On the window, you see all that window money.
Oh, yeah. Look at, you see all these cards?
2 cheeseburgers with cheese.
2 cheeseburgers with cheese and
2 fries.
2 fries.
Well, that's what you said.
That's not what I meant.
Well, what you said, what
Huh?
you meant to do.
No, I wanted a whole thing of French fries.
You said 2 fries, sir. 2 fries. 1, 2.
No, I thought,
No,
what's this going to cost me?
What you thought, what you said,
Yeah.
what you mean, different. You said 2 fries, there's 1, 2. And 2 cheeseburgers with cheese.
Don't trick it around so much. On the fries right there. Very funny.
No, it's not funny. 2 fries, sir.
What a wise guy. Hey, what a bad deal here.
You said it again.
All right, okay.
Okay, I'll
I'll eat it.
I'll get you to order some fries.
Okay, thank you very
Don't
much.
go away, okay?
No, I'm not
Don't go
going.
away, okay.
I'm not going anywhere.
Better?
Oh yeah, this is
You
much
bet.
better. All right, thank you.
Okay, now,
A little ketchup, maybe.
we'll get some more.
Oh no, mustard. This guy doesn't quit.
How many would you like to eat?
2 of those, 3 of those.
Well, there's 2 there already.
All right, 2.
There's 2. You want 4 then?
Yeah, 4 would be good. I'm hungry.
For 4 potatoes or 4 packages, sir?
Thank you very much.
I'll put some salt now.
Oh yeah, salt's good.
Salt.
Did you see that?
Salt.
Salt.
Okay. How about some of these then?
That's good.
The cat, or a lion, whatever cat,
Right.
and the flowers, okay? And I'll put it right there with you. See how
Thank
pretty?
you.
I'm going to get some drinks.
Oh yeah, a couple drinks. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Now, we need a couple of straws.
No,
Yes.
that's too many straws.
Take your picture.
Don't. And these look like used straws to me.
This
Are they-
slightly used, but that's all right.
No, give me some good straws.
There's
Huh?
nothing wrong with them.
This one here?
They're a good straw. They haven't been used yet.
Okay, this one.
How about another one?
All right, take another one.
You bet.
All right.
Okay. Now let's see. Together now or separately?
Together.
Together.
All right, turn it off. The only day that Angel's not open, and I come here for a haircut, it's New Year's Day. No haircut. In Seligman, Arizona, on Route 66. Well, we're traveling Route 66 through Arizona. Time to sing a song.
If you ever
Plan to motor west.
travel
Go my way, take the highway, that's the best.
get
Your kicks
on
Route 66. Route 66.
It
Winds from Chicago to LA.